Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome once again. I'm glad to have us here this evening. It's an honor, basically, and I hope we have an amazing service in church today for those that are Christians. So let's not assume that everybody that we all are Christians. Let's not assume, but I think those I'm seeing on the call, they are all Christians now. So I hope we had an amazing service today in church. All right. Great to
Yes,
have
sir.
everybody on board. Beautiful. So, for the past week, we've been sending some materials to the group chat. One of which was the playbook. I think about 4 pages that had an overview of what the journey will look like for the next 5 weeks. So we'll just meet on Sundays every 6 p.m. From the playbook, it was arranged in a way that each week we'll have something to talk about. The first week we had the topic is mindset. That's the theme, mindset. Second week will be on skills. The third will be on the tools. Then the fourth will be on. Let me go again, please. The mindset, the skills, the tools, and then we have the impact. So these are the way we arrange the lesson. So today we'll be looking at becoming the kind of educator that students will never forget. Becoming the kind of educator that students will never forget. I think we had someone just joined. So welcome on board. We're glad to have you. So let's look at the key things we'll be looking at from today's session. It's going to be a very quick one. But then if you read the playbook, can you give me a thumbs up, please? How many persons read the playbook we sent on the group chat? If you read the playbook, give me a thumbs up. Oh, amazing. Okay. So we have only Bolo Atife. Others, what happened? Okay, Mr. Sam read it. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. We again read the book. I think we have a third person that just joined. I want to be able to call us by name. Let me check. Uh, okay, we'll have Annabelle. Then we'll have Manuel. Okay, so we just have three persons that read the playbook. That's Mr. Sam, then Doluatife. Okay, that's fine. So that playbook is very important because it gives us an overview of what the fellowship will look like for the rest of the month. So do well to go through it. All right. So by the end of today, we just want to ensure that we understand why mindset will come before technology. I know some of us might be like, oh, I just want to learn the tools. Basically, this is just what I came for. But then there is need for us to look at the the main engine. The mind happens to be the engine room that carries every other thing. Whether we learn the tools, whether we apply them, it still revolves around the mindset that we carry along the line. So when I read the form, there were some questions I saw there. How to get more students, how to start the classes and the rest of them. So I think this particular session answers a good number of the questions I saw through the form. So we have to remind ourselves the purpose why we started teaching. So that's the second objective. So let's discover once again, for some of us that have discovered already, let's remind ourselves why we find ourselves in this particular path, right? And then we also understand the philosophy behind Sismo. What's the philosophy behind what we do, our own teaching method, and how it has been working for over the years. And then seeing teaching as a service and not a transaction. That's one of the things I'll be saying today. In as much as everybody wants money, isn't it? Yeah, everybody wants money, right? But then one of the key things we're going to learn today, or just to remind us once again that we have to also see teaching as a service and not just a transaction. But at the end of the day, funny thing is, in the process of rendering the service, with the whole of your heart, the money is made. That's also one key thing I've come to realize. When we focus on the service, eventually the money comes. But then it's important that we sustain a mindset that, yes, it is about impact and less about the money. But the money will come. Before some persons will be like, Oga, we need money, considering how the country is and the rest of them. Then once again, we're going to embrace a lifelong learning as a permanent habit, right? So that's one of the things I want to achieve this evening. We should be able to embrace lifelong learning. It should be a permanent habit. A wise man once told me that I should endeavor to learn something new every day, no matter how small it is. And then it's something I became conscious about, no matter how small. It might even be all those their Gen Z slang, even if it's that one. But then we ensure that we'll learn something new every single day. All right. So I want to welcome each and every one of us to the very first cohort of the Sismo online teaching fellowship. This is the very first that we are doing. So it just occurred to me that it's important that we do this. So for a long time, it's been coming to my mind, but then I keep pushing it off. So welcome. It's not just a fellowship, but this is a family. And the way the session will go today, I'll not just be talking. All of us are going to contribute because we are all educators. And I know some of us have been teaching even before I thought about teaching. I think Mr. Sam is here. So some persons have been doing this even before I ever thought about teaching. So it's a family and not just um, a fellowship. So I'm glad to have each and every one of us on board this evening. Thank you so much for joining. Um, like I said earlier, we are the very first, right? So it's something quite amazing that you are the very first to open up the Sismo online teaching fellowship, which I believe will be a beginning of many more fellowship that will emerge from here. And eventually, some of the persons that attended here might be speakers for the next cohort. If you believe that, give me a thumbs up now. I can invite any of you, please. We'll have the next fellowship coming up, so and so, and then we'll have so and so guest speaker. Yeah, I believe we can also call on people to yes, and that's why we are doing this, so that eventually we can as well spread the impact to other persons. So years from now, you will always be remembered actually as those that started um, the cohort. All right, so I had to just the slide is just to guide me because there are a lot of things to say, but then so as to guide us and we don't waste so much time. So one thing we understand that talent without character doesn't last, right? So we've seen people that they have the subject knowledge, but then without the character, you eventually see that you will pick someone that doesn't know how to do it, but has the character over someone that delivers very well, but doesn't have character. I think every one of us will go for the first person. Eventually, someone without the skills but has the character because character is not something that can be easily developed. But skills can be taught. You can teach someone skills within 3 weeks, but out of character, maybe you have to give birth to the person and start somewhere else, to start imbibing some of those skills. And that is why we believe that this is the very reason why the fellowship is here, not just to have people that have the skills, but people that can as well use the character they have to build trust with parents, including students, in whatever program that exists, whether you want to freelance as a tutor or you want to be part of what we do at Sismo, or in any way you find yourself, we understand that yes, character is very key aside the subject knowledge that we all have in our various field. So why do we need to embrace digital education? Just to give an overview and then we'll move in. All of us know we understand already what is happening. And I was telling a friend the other day that very soon, I think that was 2 days ago, there will not be need for one-on-one classes with the tutor very soon. Maybe 7 years from now, you don't have to. Parents will no longer be calling for I need a tutor for my child. Everything might now be you have is already happening. Maybe a clone of a tutor teaching the child. Even at midnight, the person is available because of what artificial intelligence is doing already. So a time will come probably when um we don't one-on-one classes, maybe the online lesson we're talking about now might not even exist. And that's why we have to understand that things are changing real quick, and then we need to change with it. It was in 2020, I think, that online lesson began. That was the boom of it during the COVID-19. And why some persons moved ahead, some teachers couldn't. But I think it's something that each and every one of us as teachers should embrace. All right, from remote work to accessing global opportunities, even from the comfort of of your home. So it's something that we need to be open-minded. And for the fact that we're here actually means that yes, we've embraced this particular line of action. So it's quite amazing. All right. So for me, digital education is a mindset. All right. It's not about the core, not about the platform. It's all about having the mindset. Now, there's something I wrote right here, which I want to still talk about. I spoke about online education versus digital. That all of us, I understand, is something that we know. So what I did is because some persons might be new to the entire stuff. So let's just be very fast and we'll move. I said something is a mindset, not a Zoom call. And then beyond the subject knowledge, what actually makes an educator unforgettable beyond the subject knowledge? In that playbook, I shared a story. I think it's time to dive into the story. And one key thing I remember, I want us to understand in the whole of this thing is that aside that I teach mathematics, there should be something else I can offer to the child aside the mathematics, beyond the subject I'm teaching. Now, can that child actually share some things with me beyond the mathematics? Can I render help? I think at a point in time, a parent called me to help out, assist in setting up his laptop. Like I was like, "Oga, have you forgotten that I'm just your son's tutor? I have nothing to do with. You should pay me for this extra service." So just beyond the subject knowledge, it is important that we invest ourselves to a point that including the parents we render services to, understands that this person, aside the subject he or she is teaching, is also knowledgeable and can contribute to other areas aside whatever thing this person is teaching my child or whatever thing, whether in a school setting, in an online setting. So it is important for us to start looking beyond the subject that we teach. What other areas can we actually dive into? What other things can we add to what we do aside the subject, aside the mathematics, the civic education, the whatever subject that you teach? It's get to a point where you can actively contribute beyond just the subject that we teach. If we are still together, give me a thumbs up, please. If you're still with me, please. Okay, okay, thank you. Okay. So now, when I mention something about other key things you have to pay attention to beyond the classroom. So, what are those things I'm talking about that students remember beyond the subject? Funny enough, a child might actually forget the topic you taught him or her, but the lessons aside the subject, they will always retain. All right. For me, there was this man that taught me chemistry back in secondary school. I might not really remember some of the things he said, but then I know that man as a man that normally talks with proverbs. You know, when you misbehave, he always has a particular proverb to tell you, right? So, and all of those things are key things that students will remember beyond just the subject that we teach them. And there are like 7 of them. The way we communicate with them, the character, the relationship we build with them, right? The leadership as well that will show to those kids also determines what those children can remember beyond just what we teach them, right? And that's why for me, I think sometimes it might look as though during classes that I drift so much from what I'm teaching the kids because eventually what they will remember is some of those things I bring in aside the subject. I'm not saying that maybe I'm teaching indices. I should leave the indices and start saying other things. But I will always find a way to link the indices to what they will need in life. Because eventually I've not seen someone that wants to make a decision and then it is indices that help you make the decision. Eventually, I've not been in that situation where I'm faced with a problem to solve in real life. And then it is now the laws of indices that I applied. So in any way, I always find a way to link the indices to something they can always make use of why they are faced with decisions in real life. So I think it's something very important that we also have to consider in every topic you are teaching. Please find a way to connect it to what they can use in real life. These are some of those things that the kids will never and can never forget as time goes on. Now, it's time to just dive a little bit into my story, and I think that's the highlight of today's lesson. If you read the playbook, you understand that back then, I was teaching fully on offline, right? I was in school while still doing that. During holiday, once some persons will always laugh. I don't stay in school more than 2 days after exam because I know I have students in Enugu waiting for me for offline lessons. So we started that even before I got into school around 2017 or thereabout. So the vision has always been there. But then over time, I saw the need as well. How can we get across to more people? Then I think I started with a YouTube channel. I didn't mention that in the book, but I actually started with a YouTube channel. I started sharing 1 or 2 things with people, and eventually that was around 2020. So how best can we start pushing forward? How can we navigate better? How can we begin to reach more people? And that was when I came across the platform. I think it was on Facebook. I saw Super Prof, and eventually I applied. And there was no laptop as of then. It was just there was this Redmi phone. I'm still using that phone to date. I think that phone deserves an award, right? So it was just that phone that I started with basically. And as of the time, I think I just got one student, a chemical engineering student. She was on 300 level. at the time. So remember what I said, there was no laptop. So for some persons that might be on the call, I'll be like, oh, I don't have a laptop, I don't have the tools and the rest of them. It is not basically about the tools. It all begins with the mindset you follow through with everything, right? And the experience you create for the child. Someone might have all the tools in the whole world, but then what matters a lot is the experience that you create for the child. So for me, there's never a time I didn't begin with a laptop like you read from the playbook. So, and one key thing I always make reference to is because one thing I know I started with was with purpose. For me, teaching, it might sound strange. When I started, it wasn't about the money, basically. When I started, it wasn't basically about the money, right? So I can remember back in 2019 running free lessons at the middle of the night. I will start teaching those kids by 12 a.m. and I will teach through 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Nobody paid me a dime, nobody gave me anything. But because I understood that this is something I love doing. And one key thing about all of this is that when you eventually start without money in mind, right, you get to learn lessons that others that are driven by money and also stay longer on that path. But someone that started because, oh, I just need to make this money, eventually will get frustrated along the way. But someone that began knowing fully well that this is a calling. For me, I don't think teaching is a profession. For people that say that, see, I don't consider it a profession because a lot of things comes with it, basically. So one key thing I always sustain as the journey continues or as we begin to impact the life of students is understanding one key thing that, or reminding ourselves at every point in time that it is all about impacting the lives of children, but eventually the money will always be made. So eventually, when I signed up I'm going this way because I believe we read the playbook. So I got my first international student. That was she was in 300 level at the time, and she was studying chemical engineering. So, and at the time, you won't believe that the what I used then was I would just get paper, just write on it, arrange it very well. One key thing I did was to use blue pen, red pen, black pen, underline key points. It was quite beautiful. I didn't have, but the students seeing that kind of arrangement understand that yes, this person is very keen at what he's doing. So I would just bend my phone over back in the days, the Redmi now. I'll bend the phone and then explain whatever concept I want to explain to her as of the time being. And eventually, one thing I saw about along the whole line is that she understood that, oh, this person actually cares about me understanding this. And that's one key thing about when it comes to teaching. If you really pay attention to the students, they know she's not basically a child. At least that lady should be around maybe mid 20s, no longer a child. But they understand that when someone is keen about money, and there's one thing I don't do, which um some persons sometimes find themselves doing it. The fact that somebody is an international student doesn't mean I don't know how to put this thing now. I I approach you the way I approach a Nigerian. Just someone that stays in Nigeria, I mean to say. Most of them are Nigerians in the diaspora. But the same way I will approach someone that is here with me in Nigeria is the same way I'm going to approach. I don't because oh this person I start seeing you that you have money. I don't do that. And they know eventually. Students know when you start acting that way. Parents know when you start acting that way. So one key thing I learned from that journey with that lady is that I wasn't just keen. Oh, this person is an international student. Oh, she can bring the money and the rest of them. That wasn't the move, all right? Because eventually, when they get to realize that, oh, this guy is after the money and not after the lesson, in as much as she might not have any other option because at the time being this was core chemical engineering courses, and according to her why she reached out was that most people she reached out to regarding the chemical engineering courses they rejected it, and I was the only person that accepted the offer on super prof back then. So but that's one key thing I always want us to understand. So basically said something on the form, how do I get high paying clients? All right. And one thing I will tell you is that the high paying clients will come from those ones that you feel they don't have money. It will come from them. The way you render the service to them determines if those bigger ones will come. So the lady eventually saw that this person was just after her growth, you know, both with the preparations, placing the book in a way that she will see solving. It wasn't easy for me. Imagine a 1 hour class. I think at the time how much was she paying? I think she was paying either 2,000 naira per hour as of the time being. Either 2,000, I can't remember, 2,000 or 1,500. But I tell you, a 1 hour class, will take me like 2 hours to write down those things on paper. You know what it takes to prepare slide by hand. You write everything about 2 hours before. So which means I taught 3 hours class for that amount of money. That's what it means because the 2 hours given to prepare the slides and 1 hour for delivery, But eventually I was learning a lesson that nothing else would teach me aside rendering that service to the lady. And I kept asking myself one question: how can I make this experience better? Even with that amount of money she was paying at the time being, right? What can I do to make that experience better? And that's when I started browsing. And then I eventually got to Jumia. That was the very first time I bought something from Jumia. The pen is still here. I bought like three of it, should in case one fails me. And I think it was 3,000 for one. So I bought like three of them back then, and I could write on my Android phone. The pen still works to date. So when that lady saw that particular pen, she was so excited. I was wondering, why is this lady excited this way? You understand? But she saw the willingness that this guy wants to grow. Aside the fact that some persons might just remain that way. Oh, this person is paying already, and you decide to stay that way. So basically, anywhere you can start from there, but then keep asking questions on how you can better the experience. And one key thing I also want to add is invest in tools. Invest in tools. If if eventually it means using the whole money that they paid for the tutoring, is an investment because the money will still come back. So that's one key thing I want us to sustain: the mindset of always investing. So that pen, as at the time, it wasn't easy for me to do. I had to go, search and search. Eventually, I got that particular pen that actually it reduced the stress of bending the camera over. At least I could write on it, and just that way. It wasn't too long. Another person reached out, and that was a child at the moment. They were preparing for this 11 plus exam, right? So that was the second person, a very smart boy, basically. So I started off with that young boy. There were now two of them, still teaching with the same pattern now, the same Redmi and then the two pen. And eventually, after some months with that particular pen, that was when I now got the tablet, the Samsung tag. It wasn't that easy, but eventually the tab came, and that was the experience. And then there's one key thing I highlighted in that particular playbook. If you read that playbook, is back then I hardly disturb them about money, right? But at some point, even currently, sometimes it becomes a weakness. But then I feel some person, it depends on I think Mr. Sam can relate to what I'm saying, basically. But then there's how it would get to and it becomes a problem. But I feel that if we create that particular mindset that yes, you are just after the development of a student over the money, even if the person you are doing that for doesn't understand, because some of them will not. There are some parents that will not take that for granted, but eventually, God knows how He rewards His people, and they know as well. They know what you bring to the table and the services you offer to them, and eventually they will feel free to recommend you to other persons, even though they know they are not delivering the way they should. So what happened is that at the end of the day, the lady and then the one from UK, they left a review, and that review, the two review was just pointing at the same thing, that this guy cared less about the money. I didn't. You see, one of the things about review is that review is not something that you force. You know, when you deliver excellently well, people will actually give you review without. How will I put this now? When they are writing it, they are not thinking about what to write because you've actually created an impression in their heart and mind. So that lady, I think she wrote, and remember at the time there was no ChatGPT was not much, so you wouldn't tell me she wrote that with GPT. Like it was very comprehensive, which means this lady wrote from her heart, the two of them. So I don't think it wasn't AI at the time being. So they wrote from there. If these people or this era, I would say, okay, maybe the person went to AI to blow it up, but that was at a time when there was nothing like that. So they wrote from their heart. And one of the things she wrote there was that this guy seemed he didn't focus so much on the money. He was just after ensuring that the child did very well. And eventually came that of I think the next was Dubai. Not because I had the setup, but because these guys they actually trusted the way the services are rendered. If you observe the trend, everything I've been saying so far, you understand that it still revolves around service. It revolves around service. To get that particular review you are seeking, to move far ahead, or even if you are getting started, one key thing I'll keep saying is please always put the work over the money. Yes, the money will come. but always put the work over the money, and eventually it's going to come. All right. There's something I want to add before I forget. Now, I was speaking with someone about a class I needed him to take. Now, he didn't ask me, okay, questions along, okay, how do we handle this child? What are the topics and the rest of them? The young man was so keen around the money, and that was a turn off for me. I don't know for others, but I feel that you should show me you are concerned about the service before we can talk about the money. Eventually, nobody will call you into a work without paying you. So, one of the mindset I want us to sustain is that in the long run, service will open doors that um, the money that we are seeking might not actually bring forward to us. But then, when you serve with the whole of your heart, it has a way of opening doors. Now, another thing I did was I invested in myself in that particular place. They are going to see it. I paid for a fellowship just like this one, and the fellowship at the time was 30,000. I think it was for either 4 weeks, or I can't remember the duration of the fellowship. So that was how the whole thing started. I learned the way we are learning now. They gave us an overview, explained some things to us, and that was it. Investing first, and it's something I want us to also do. Check on YouTube. Are there things you can learn to better the experience? The better the experience you create for them, the more they will pay. The more they will pay. Funny enough, some persons that ask the questions, they are not here today. I have a lot of questions they were asking, and they were like, how will I get more clients? How do I sustain this and sustain that? And one key thing I would say is invest in yourself. When you grow, they know you are growing. Some they will know. Some of the parents will know. When you are growing, they know you are growing. And at some point, when you come up to increase your fee, they have sensed it because they've seen the growth. But then you don't expect to get more money from them per se when the same way you're rendering the service for the past 1 year is the same way you've been rendering the service. There should be a change in the service delivery, and eventually they will sense the value themselves. And that is how you can actually say, oh, I want to increase the rate from this to this. So answering that particular question, how you can actually get more people, those ones you have currently can still pay more if eventually you increase the service that you render to them. All right. So every of those lessons actually became a foundation for me, and it is one of the key things I'll be sharing with us towards the end of the session. That it all begins with just the mindset of understanding that service comes before the money, even access to those high-paying clients. Let me shock you. One of those days, one of the parents said something. She called me. I sent your number to somebody. See, that guy has money. Imagine a parent saying that. Say that guy has money. So charge him well. Now, because of what? She understand how far this guy has served the family. And eventually she's recommending somebody, referring someone, and telling you, charge these people well. Because she knows that from their own end, they can't pay you because they don't have it. But because of the kind of service you've rendered, they will put your name forward to people that will pay that amount of money or that kind of thing you are looking for. But eventually, and ensure that when you are recommended, that you deliver and not disappoint whoever and anybody that have actually recommended you to teach them. All right. So at every point in time, invest in the tools. Right. Are there things you can buy that will amplify the learning? Are there things you can start doing? Is it to learn Canva? Is it to buy more tools? What is that particular thing that you can begin to get to make the learning more interesting and fascinating? You want to enter into online teaching. What is that particular tool? Because that was the question I keep asking myself. How do I amplify all of these things? How do I make it better? So imagine at the end of every session, you have a powerful slide you've prepared, you're going to send to the child. The parents will know how much are they paying, but look at what you are giving them. So eventually, when you want to increase anything or you ask them of anything, they eventually will agree because they are seeing what you are doing. So eventually, the core values we have at Sismo actually emanated from some of the lessons I learned over the years regarding service at every point in time, understanding why you want to teach. Why are you teaching? Like I said, teaching is not something that you start with the mindset of money. Anybody that have taught for quite some time will understand what I'm saying. And the moment you start being driven by money, you will know. You will know. But eventually, one thing I will leave with you, when you keep moving because of that very thing, the reason why you started, you know why you started. When you don't forget that particular thing, I tell you, um, the ways will keep opening, people will keep reaching out, and the expansion will keep going. I just mentioned how three came, and since then it has just been from one parent recommending to this one recommending and to the growth and everything we have. And as well, ensuring that we over deliver, right? Ensuring that we over deliver. One more thing I also want to add is in terms of the service. I don't know why I'm revolving around service so much. The class might be a 1 hour class, but don't be that person that you don't have another class. So maybe that particular class runs from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And from 7 p.m. you are free actually. But then because the parents, the class with them is 1 hour, immediately is 1 hour, you are jumping out of the class. They notice all of those things, right? And that is where you will show that you are actually interested. So it takes you nothing to spend extra time with that child. It takes nothing. It's a mindset. It is service. It takes nothing. You can give them extra 15 minutes, extra 20 minutes. Just be absorbed with what you are doing. And eventually, the recommendations you seek and the reviews and all is going to come from them. So these are the values we actually came out from there. And it's a value I want each and every one of us to uphold, even as we navigate, because eventually I think some of us will still have one or two things to do with us in the long run. So these are the 7 values that we uphold so much, and I think it's something that anybody that wants to teach or navigate any aspect of life should hold on to. Number one is being purpose driven. All right. So there's something I wrote here that great educators, they don't simply teach, they know why they teach. So that particular why, the reason behind your teaching is one thing that will sustain you. So just one question I'll ask this evening. Ask yourself, what is the reason? Why am I teaching? Why am I an educator? What's that particular reason why I'm on this path? There are several things you could do. There are other things. Myself, I know I'm saying this. I study chemical engineering, right? I know I could be in the field. And not just um, with all due respect, basically. How do you guys say it? With every humility. The chemical engineer wasn't that I didn't do well in school. I wrote some of the key things on the playbook. So if eventually I want to go to the field, I'll also do well in chemical engineering, basically. But when you understand your why, that's why you stay in that particular path. And that is the difference between you and someone who is just there for the money and is going to reflect. So ask yourself, why have you chosen this particular path? Why do you want to teach online? Why do you want to teach those students? Why do you want to impact in those students? All right. So it is one thing that will guide you so much. And it's one particular thing I think everybody we should ask ourselves now. Even when it gets tough, ask yourself, why do I want to teach? Why have I chosen this particular path? Is it because, let me not go there, but then I hope you get what I'm. If you're still with me, can you give me a thumbs up? I think I'm talking so much. Can you give me a thumbs up if you're still with me? Okay. How many persons are still with me? Okay, thank you. So that's one of the core values. So always ask yourself that question, and I think it's going to help. So the second question you might need to ask again. Sorry. Um, all right. So the next question you might need to ask, it revolves around service. I think I've said so much about service. All right. I've said a lot of things on service. I'm going to skip that particular one. All right. And then if there's something I said there that services will create opportunities that marketing never can. Right. I don't think I've done any ad before promoting like, let's say higher. I think I've not paid basically. It's just showing what we do on WhatsApp, on Facebook. But then you understand that most of the opportunities that come will always come from referrals. All right. So service will actually create that opportunity that marketing will not give you. So please just stay there. And the next thing is integrity. All right. Is it a 1 hour class and you ended the class 15 minutes after? Bear in mind you are owing those students 15 minutes. That's integrity. Like, this is a 1 hour class. Then something happened per se, and you couldn't complete the remaining 15 minutes. What I will always do in the next class, I'll add that 15 minutes. Something happened one of those days. I joined very late. The class should start by 5 o'clock, and I entered around, I think, 5:15 or thereabout. Then the class continued up until 6 o'clock, and then the mom of the child was calling the young boy. And then, are you not done with class? Because eventually the class should end by 6 o'clock. But I understood that this class I started by 15 minutes past 5, and eventually I have to stay in that class till 6:15 or even more. So all of those things, and eventually the mom will be like, "Oh, so this guy he joined late and actually he stayed to the 1 hour time that they discussed." So these are small details that you might not even know that they are paying attention to it, and that is why sometimes you see parents maybe towards festive season, they are sending you money, thank you for all of those, because they see the sacrifices and they see the whole thing that you do. All right. And some of the ideas I executed as of then came from that student. There's something I wrote here, right? About service. She gave me an idea on how to execute some things for Sismo back then. Our discussion went beyond the normal classes. I was asking, how do I penetrate your country? She was telling me what to do. Back then, she told me, go on Instagram, create an Instagram page, do this, post what you do, and the rest of them. Someone that came for class. And remember that she's going to pay for that particular 1 hour. But inside that 1 hour, she's giving me ideas on what to do because of what? We've built that relationship to a point that she understands that, oh, this person cares about my success. And that's how people actually value whatever thing that you do for them. So I've spoken about service, integrity, and the next thing is innovation. Actually, it's important to always evolve. Don't be the same person. And there's something I wrote here for integrity. People remember character longer than your credentials. Actually, so the reviews they wrote, none of them wrote that this guy is good with the subject. That's the funny thing. Let me tell you the truth now. The reviews that the girl and the woman left for me, none of them said this guy is too good with the maths or the engineering. It was just things that has to do with character. And we know people buy based on emotion. I'm not saying you shouldn't be good with your subject, but I'm saying that people remember the character more than the subject. So just to highlight that particular side before I forget. Then the next is on innovation. So always ask yourself, how can I become better? What are the tools I can start getting now? Do I need to get this and that? What in particular can I get? I think it was a tablet that changed everything for me, right? Because you can draw, you can write, it was amazing. And it became my own workshop. So that tab became my workshop because it was everything for me. So it was a one-time investment, and I think it's something you start thinking towards. For you to get that kind of render that kind of service you want to render, please start thinking about how to start saving. What are those tools you can get just to make the whole thing faster, right? And I advocate you get that app. Just try. It might be quite expensive at the time, but just try to get something close to that. It makes the work a little more easier. You can do whatever thing, underline on it, write on it, and I'm not talking about there's a tab that you can just plug directly to the laptop. I'm talking about a normal tablet. You can just start saving towards it. It makes the work far more easier. And then one thing I promise you, the money you invest in that will come back. I promise you. It's going to come back because it will reflect in the service that you render. So please, innovation actually begins with asking, how can I make this experience better? If you keep asking this question, how can I make this experience for this student better? How can I ensure they understand what I'm teaching? That is how your creativity actually increases, and um, you become better at what you do. Then the last one is excellence. um, it's something that is you cannot negotiate it. Excellence is something that you must over deliver. That's the goal. All right. Now imagine the stress that the energy we put into preparing the slides and all the things we've sent for the fellowship. Not some of those things is a free fellowship. Nobody paid for anything. But then it is important that at every point in time you put in your best in whatever thing you do. People they see some of those things, and these are the things that will attract the right people to you. These are things that will actually bring people that will actually appreciate the service that you render at every point in time. And for me, I think excellence is about preparation, not even about perfection. When you prepare very well for something, eventually you're going to deliver. All right. So, and that's why one of the core values at Sismo is that we pay attention to detail, right? No matter how tiny those things are, we pay attention to those details. And I think it's something that if we start paying attention to details as well, little tiny details that you feel doesn't matter, if you start paying attention to those details, don't overlook anything that is within your control. Some persons will be like, no, just leave them. How much should they pay me? One, how much should they pay? How much would they pay me, self? But you don't know who is looking at you. You don't know who is observing you. Okay. So I think it's something very important. So deliver with high standards, no matter the amount of money that was paid, because it is that very one you deliver very well that people will eventually see, and more opportunities will come. So don't settle for good enough, right? When the student's future is on the line, there's something I said there. So refuse to settle for good enough when a student's future is on the line. So please, at every point in time, ensure you're giving your best. Don't come to class unprepared. You just come arrange now 1 hour now. You go just talk. 1 hour has passed and then you leave. Within you, you messed. One thing about this is that when you are not prepared for a class, when you're not prepared, So I think it's very, very important that we get to a point where you ask yourself that particular question, right? Prepare no matter how much they are paying you. Prepare no matter how tired you think you are, because eventually people are watching. And remember, it's about the students and not really any other thing aside that. Then the next I have to talk about now, if you are with me, still give me thumbs up, please. If you are still with me, we're very soon rounding up. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Um, then the next should be teamwork. Okay. So in terms of the teamwork, it's nobody can, no man can achieve working on his own, basically. All right. We are the little things we do today is because Mr. Hillary is there. All right. Mr. Dubemi is not currently here, and lots of persons that be working behind the scene. That's why some of these things are working. So it is something very important that we learn how to work as a team, join a community, no matter what it takes. So for me, it was school linker. Yeah, I think most of us know school linker. People that stay in Lagos, I think people should know school linker. Anybody that has an idea of school linker? School linker. Anybody? School linker. They are based in Lagos. Nobody. Okay. So it was school linker. That was the fellowship I joined back then. All right. And it was quite amazing because we had people from different places, and the interactions and everything they did during that fellowship was just amazing. So, in all, I mean that you cannot grow alone, right? There's little you can achieve on your own. So, nobody builds impact alone, whether with the parents, with the student. Just ensure you're working as a team with both the parents and the student is one key thing that is going to help. Join a community, and eventually we'll see everything come to life. Then, this is the part I don't joke with when it comes to classes. Well, everybody will have their different pattern, but I think one of those things that make classes interesting is the fact that you don't just start from beginning and then you talk from beginning to end, basically. Especially when you're teaching children. Whether children, I think it's very important that this particular thing is something I learned along the line, that it is important that those children they have premium form. They should enjoy themselves. In as much as parents will tell you, you are too lenient and the rest of them. Madam, now that child they pay me. Oh. It's the child that is paying you. So sometimes parents will be like, don't be lenient on the boy, shout and the rest of them. If that child tells the mom, this guy knows ability they do, your work has ended. If you get my point, give me a thumbs up. If you're following me, can you just give me a thumbs up? So it's one of the core values I think we should pay attention to. The class should be interesting. At all costs, make it interesting. If person annoy you, no carry anger, enter the class. So it was one of those things I learned about the whole thing on online teaching when it comes to making that class interesting. Crack jokes, feel free to crack jokes, let these guys feel at home. You understand? Because check yourself now. Some of us that are teaching now, check if now you go school, come back, they say make you enter class again, you enter class. Say now you go school after hot sun, you come back from school, they now say you have extra lesson. Will you go for the lesson? Anybody here? If you know you're going to be that student, can you give me a thumbs up? Like after the stress from school, and then your parents still wants you to go for another class in the evening. Just imagine it. Let's be sincere here. You get that kind of thing now. So it won't be. So you imagine you come in, the child is stressed out. You are still coming to, even if now you self, you know, go come to that class. So at all costs, we are laughing, but that's the fact. So you come to class, you are too rigid. Sometimes they might not do their. And I'm not saying that you should be lax on them. Some of them might not do the assignment, but don't be too rigid on them because it's never easy. So make it fun for them at every point in time. Even when they are annoying, some of them can be annoying, but ensure that you don't show them that you are angry. So one thing I normally do to maintain this particular side, which is that fun. When I explain, they enter head. I go just mute my mic, say which kind picking be this? I will mute myself, turn off my camera, express my what do you call it? My frustration at the time being. The child doesn't know. Because if you show that you are angry, you are frustrated, the child will not be happy, you understand? So always at every point in time, even when you are angry, try to hide it. Maybe turn off your camera and complain. Turn off your mic and say, which kind picking with this book will enter head and the rest of them. So, but then don't allow the child to understand that, oh, you are going through a lot trying to explain all of these things over and over again. So that particular mindset of always thinking of how to make this fun. Because you know what? Your students will always remember how you made them feel. Understand this. Children, students, whether big, adults, small, will always remember how you made them feel. And that's why it's important that you ensure that you bring in that warmth, just be yourself, express yourself with them, laugh as much as you can, get to know those students. And that's when they can tell you things beyond what you teach them. So they are excited. Some of them will be excited, not because of the subject, but because, oh, I have Mr. Lota today. They are excited coming to the class. Even in a school, you are teaching in a school, and then students should be happy coming to school, not because of what they will learn, but because, oh, so and so teacher will be in school today, and they're excited to come to school because of what, how you make them feel. And eventually, when they are happy, no matter how tough the subject is, those guys, they are going to learn. So these are some of the core values I've learned along the line. You know, excellence, delivering as much as you can, try to update, buy tools, even if the money no day, right? Someone like me, it might be funny, but let me just say this: I would prefer to have only one shoe, like, but have as many tools as possible regarding what I do, because eventually the tools will bring the shoes. You understand now? So for me, I think for every payment, think about the tools to invest in. What are those things you can get, right, at the end of the day? And that's where the innovation comes through. Pay for as many fellowships as you can pay for, buy tools you can buy, and eventually the money will come. So what are the lessons from my own journey, like I narrated with the students, the efforts, and all right? So what are the lessons I learned along the line? And I will share 10 things I learned um alongside the whole movement. It has not been easy. We are still learning even to date, but I think these are some of the things I learned along the line that has really helped to build trust with parents. Okay, something happened earlier around June. I don't want to go into details, but then that thing that happened, it blew my mind. How people can actually make that kind of commitment. All right. So imagine people spending close to, it should be more than 400,000 just to let you come through, just come somewhere, stay with the kids and the rest of them. That is trust. People that have not met you before, right? Just because you are taking the kids online. I think it's because of the level of the trust and relationship you have built with them over time. They might not be paying so much, but one thing I want to say is that you just have to ensure you communicate better with them and build that relationship with them. So one of the lessons I learned: start before you are ready. You don't have to get the whole tools in the whole world. Just with the little you have, what can you do? All right. So with the phone, I could write on the Android phone as of then with the Jumia, blah, blah, blah. I had to get red pen, blue pen, keep it on paper, write on it, sketch on it, just for me to deliver. So start before you are ready. That's one key thing I want to share with us. And then another lesson, I will: serve before you sell. I think all I've been saying is on service. Serve before you sell. Just serve. Like, can someone type on the chat? Serve before you sell. Serve before you sell. I'm not seeing it on the chat. Just help me type that, please. I know these are big men and women, and I'm telling you guys to type on the chat. But I think, yeah, serve before you sell. So at every point in time, ensure that you serve before you sell. Serve before you sell, because um, it is in the place of service that you get to know what worked and what didn't work. So serve before you sell. All right. Then people remember how you made them feel. Like I said, people always remember how you made them feel. Then never stop learning. Never stop learning. Go on YouTube. What can we do better? Right? Learn as much as possible just to make the class interesting. All right. And someone that was paying a little amount can start paying more when they see that, oh, this guy has invested in learning. This guy has invested in making his lessons better and better. All right. So relationship attract opportunities. I don't know how to emphasize on this. All right. I don't know how to emphasize on this. But you see, um, one thing about the part we find ourselves when it comes to teaching is that you don't know the son of whom you are teaching. Can I say this, please? I'm just trying to hide some details anyway. But then of recent, I thought I was teaching a child. Like, do you know I have not seen the boy's face and we're done with lessons. I'm not like, if I see that boy on the road, I will not know. I didn't see his face till the entire lesson was over. Now, but something happened. I went on LinkedIn one of the days, and then I got to understand that, oh, this is the son, this is the father of this young boy. Like, and I said, no problem. I signed up on one of the things he normally posts. I just signed up on that particular email. He has a particular podcast where he shares things. I just subscribed on that podcast. I kept listening. So one of those days after the lessons, we are done with lessons. So they called in to thank me and the rest of them. So towards the end of the call, I mentioned something to him. I said, "Sir, I've been learning from so and so thing you've been posting." And he was so surprised. And that was how the communication lasted for 2 more hours. That man gave me ideas that blew my mind. I had to bring my book. I started writing. So relationship will create opportunities that you never can tell. You don't know the person you are serving. Some of them might you don't know. So basically, ensure that you don't, no matter how they see things, but then be big on building that relationship with whatever person or people you are rendering services to. All right. So it is something that can create opportunities you never can imagine. All right. I have a particular parent that have referred up to like 4 other parents within 3 weeks. I don't know how it happened. One particular person. Sometimes I keep wondering, what will I do for this particular woman? That within 3 weeks, she has referred. I don't know whether she goes around telling people. I don't know how she does it basically. But then it's because of the kind of relationship we've created with them. And that's why they could go that extent of saying, "Oh, don't worry, I'm bringing more people." All right. So whoever you're working with, whether you are working for an organization or a company, build that relationship with whoever you are rendering the service to. All right. So let me highlight something on this. Okay, we had our SNC boot camp of recent. So that boot camp, I'm saying this because we have some of the tutors here currently. Do you know that the boot camp, the sponsor of that particular SNC boot camp was the father of a child I was teaching the child. Was from a parent. That's the sponsor of that boot camp, the SNC boot camp. He was from a man I was teaching the son. All right. And eventually one or two things happens and the boot camp came through. All right. And let me also say something now. Remember what I said? Serve before you sell. That boot camp, Mr. Hillary is here. As an organization, we didn't make a dime from that particular boot camp. We didn't. But because we are keen at actually building that relationship with that man, if the man will say, "Oh, I want to run this," no problem. So we had to. The charge we gave him was just for the tutors. But I think some person will be like, "Oh, Sismo them, they don't cash out for this boot camp." Men and brethren, that particular 4 weeks that you saw, there was nothing. We built the site and everything, organized it. There was no. We just paid the tutors. Now, towards the end of the boot camp, the man asked me something. Tell me the truth. I was so surprised. He said, "How much did you pay those teachers?" I said, "Sir, I didn't gain a dime from this. I paid everything." He was surprised. Now, I never knew he would ask me that kind of question because for me, it was just that particular service and creating that relationship with him. So when he asked that question, I was like, "So this man could ask me this. So how much?" I said, "Within that was the amount of money. That amount I wrote for you was the amount to pay these tutors." And if you check, people that were in that boot camp, we had the next 4 weeks. After that particular 4 weeks, we had the next 4 weeks. And that was when we got a little thing that we had to manage with for the company. After that, the second boot camp. So imagine if some of those things were not done. Imagine what will happen. All right. So relationship will create opportunities that no matter how you market, you might not actually get to that particular point. And that's just it. Just to also say that as well, I think um that boot camp as well, I actually reached out to a particular tutor, right? And then it happens that this is the first time I was working with the tutor. That's the very first time. And then there's no way I will just tell the person at the end of the boot camp will pay you. She doesn't know me from anywhere. Do you understand? She doesn't know me from anywhere. So what happened? The money I paid her, we now agreed on paying, I think it was 50% of the money. I can't remember. I think it was 50% of the money. It was my money I used to pay her for that particular 50. She might not know. But because I was trying to establish a relationship with her, and the man in particular, the bootcamp man, when he sent the money was towards the end of the bootcamp. So I had to use my own money to pay for the, what do you call it? The tutor, so that the trust will be there at least. Let me trust this person. And eventually it happened that the second phase of the bootcamp, I didn't give her money again till the end of the bootcamp. So relationship will create opportunities that you never can tell. So please, in this particular line, we'll find out. I don't know why I'm emphasizing on this, but because I've seen the results from it, that's why I'm emphasizing on relationship and ensuring that you have that particular thing. No matter, sometimes you might not gain anything from it. Sometimes it might look as though you are cheated. Sometimes it might be like they are using you, but just be big at ensuring that you serve people and then you build that relationship with them. I have people that I've taught for, like the other guy was, we started lessons 2017. Let me just say it for that. We started lesson 2017 and they traveled to UK in 2021. The lesson continued even when they traveled. How many years? 2017 to date. So it's not something that happens on a normal day. It means that There must be something I'm getting right that these guys have retained me for that number of years. You have classes with people for 2 good years and they are still trusting you with their child. So there is something about that I think we should as well look into. So now the next one is that reviews are earned through excellence, like I said. When people give you review from their heart, you know. When they give you a review where make I just give this guy a review, make you not be say in don't teach and not give him a review. When it comes from their heart, they are not thinking about what to write because there's something they can always remember from what you did for them. All right. And there's something you also have to maybe at the end of every month, if you are rendering service for anybody, right, just ask them question. What am I doing? Like, are there areas you feel I should improve on? Send a form to them, send Google form to them. I just want to assess myself for the month. You never can tell the kind of things they might write in, though they might say it in a way that will not pain you, but then just send that Google form to them. Disturb them a little bit. Don't make it too hard. Just little. Don't ask so much question. Just a little bit. Let them give you review of your services and the areas they feel you can improve on. They will give you those reviews. All right. So you know how best you can begin to grow in that particular area. Just do that every month. Even if it's one person, ask them which areas where am I not getting right? What can I do? And then that will make the lesson better for your child. They know that this person is thinking and this person actually cares about the experience for their child, you know. And then integrity, it compounds. It compounds. Integrity, it sure do compounds, you know. So, and it's something I want us as well, no matter, even when nobody's watching, whether the parents are not there and the rest of them, just ensure you are giving in your best. Whether the classes is recorded or not, just ensure at every point in time you are giving your best. If you know you are tired for a particular class, don't enter that class. That's something I learned. I started doing that as well because you know you are tired and you cannot use that. You will not deliver. You know you will not deliver, but because you want that money, but because you because you know you still join the class that way, and eventually you know you're not going to deliver. So integrity, because the parents are not, you know you are tired. So just message them. So I'm so tired for today, and I know if I enter this class, I will not be able to teach effectively. Can we move this class to so and so time? So another time you move the class, you deliver, and your conscience is free that you've done what you ought to do at every point in time. I'm not saying that there are times you get tired, all right. There are days we get tired, but then ensure that even when you know that, oh, today I know there's something I told my friend that some months ago. I said, nah, I noticed this child anything today. Oh. But then ensure you make for that particular day that you know that something happened here. Then for that part, next week, ensure you make up for it. Whether the parents are aware or they are not aware, it is because you know that integrity will compound over time. And that is how trust is actually what built. So innovation, like I said, begins with curiosity. Just like I keep asking, that Jumia pen, I never knew there was a pen that can write on Android phone. So I started making the research and making the research, and then I got to understand that, oh, Jumia has a pen that you can actually write on, and it comes out very nice, right? And then there was a friend in Ondo State that time. I also helped him get the pen at the end of the day. So ask questions, just like we came for the fellowship today. So technology actually follows a mindset, and most importantly, purpose sustains you. Purpose does what? It sustains you, even in the difficult phase when you don't have any student to teach. It is purpose that keeps you going. You know why you started eventually. So there are days it's going to get tough. All right. There are days you keep asking yourself, why am I doing this? But then remember that it is more like, for me, I see teaching as a call. All right. So when it gets tough, remember why you started. So always ask yourself, why did I even start this whole thing? Why am I a teacher? All right. It is then that you begin to see that beyond just the classes, that the other things you are doing to the children, there's something you are impacting in them. All right. There might be something you say to them that will cause some of them to think so hard. You never can tell. You understand? You never can tell. So please let people sustain whatever thing you do. Then some person will not be like, does it mean that people cannot join teaching because they want to make money? Well, like I said, that is my own philosophy. My own philosophy is for whatever thing you are carrying out, understand the purpose to which you are doing it, because the purpose happens to be the game changer as long as the whole thing is concerned. So, in summary, these are the lessons I want us to carry along. Start before you are ready, serve before you sell. Serve, yeah. The next one was people remember how you feel, how they feel, how you make them feel. Sorry. Then never stop learning. The next is relationship create opportunities and reviews are earned through excellence. Integrity compounds, innovation begins. with curiosity, technology follows a mindset, and purpose will sustain you. So tonight, I want us to ask ourselves a particular question. It's something I want us to reflect on. All right, so let's reflect. Before we learn how to start some of those tools, like I said, week one is the mindset. Week two happens to be the skills. Week three happens to be the tools. All right. So, but before we learn how to teach, let's understand why you teach at all. Why do you teach? What's your reason for teaching? I think that shapes everything for you. That's the major thing that actually determines the kind of things you do, the extra mile that you go, all right, and the kind of energy, the whole thing that you bring to what you do, all right, because it determines how far the whole thing will go. It determines people that will trust you. It determines parents that will refer you and the rest of them. All right. Okay, just to say again, something happened this morning, right? I think I was around 10 o'clock. All right. So a parent I taught the child in 2022. Yes. It was an offline lesson. Was it 2022? I can't remember the year. It was an offline lesson. She just called this morning. It was asking her that she wants daughter to do this and do that and do that. So over the years, she still remembers me. It happened this morning, like this Sunday morning around 10 o'clock. And I'm still surprised that, oh, this woman still has me in mind because the question she was trying to ask was mind blowing. And what shocked me is that after this number of years, this person can still remember Mr. Luther. So, which means that there was something she saw eventually, because I'm not the only teacher that might have taught the child, but then I think there's something she saw that eventually stayed with her, that when that kind of question came up, she had to come in. Now, to add again, just as we end, I'm also asking, why do you teach at all? Um, a parent one of the days called me that the son did and so thing, and the man said something. I see you for my child as the mentor. So this is the kind of attitude I'm noticing this boy. He does this, he does. I no talk any. The first day I was just, what is this man saying? You are more like a mentor to this boy. He did this at home, he did this and this. I realized that, oh, that means these guys are seeing me beyond just someone teaching the child. Basically, for them to share that kind of secret with me that the son is doing this and doing this, that they want me to start thinking about what to do during classes, to find a way to talk. And then it dawned on me that beyond just the maths, the physics, and the chemistry, there is something else you are transmitting to that child. There is something else you are giving to that child. And remember, you cannot give what you don't have. And that's why we have to strive at every point in time to stay current, to keep investing in yourself consciously beyond that particular subject you are teaching. Now, another example, I don't know why all these things are coming to my head just as we round up. During one of the sessions, one of the boys asked me a particular question. He said he wants to go for, there's how they do it in UK. He wants to go for just to work after his the exams. What do I know about nuclear power plants and the rest of them? Now, eventually, it happened that I published a paper on nuclear power plants. I was taking the boy on mathematics, and then she just asked, he wanted to ask me, he said, "Oh, sir, forget." I was like, "Go ahead." He said, "Sir, I doubt if." He said, "Okay." I said, "Go ahead, ask me the question." He now asked, "Was nuclear power plants?" Lessons was over. I took another 1 hour to actually. The young man was mind blown. That's the summary of the whole thing. Showed him my research paper and the rest of them, and I realized that the way the young man was seeing me, because we just started lessons, the way he started seeing me changed, because he saw that there was something else beyond the maths that this man is teaching me. All right. Can that child look at you and be like, "I want to be like my teacher"? Can that child look at you and say, "Oh, I want to be like this man"? All right. Just like what we did back, what we did back in the days in school. You'd be like, nah, if not so, if you don't want be, there are some lecturers you look at, you'll be like, nah, if not say the whole thing, that means this is not a path you can actually take. So can a child look at you and be like, "Oh, I want to be like this woman"? Aside the things you are teaching, can they look at your life and say, "Oh, there's something about this person, and I want to be like this person"? The development and the whole of them. So I think teaching is something that it revolves around who you are. So beyond the subject, let there be something else that they can look at you and see that education is not a scam. They look at you and be like, "Oh, if this man can do so and so thing, that means I can do more." So what am I saying? Beyond the subject, put your hands into other things that will show that you are good at what you do, basically. All right. Um, and that's for that. So now, finally, if you're still with me, give me a thumbs up, please. If you're still with me, give me a thumbs. I think I'm talking too much. I don't know. And I'm tired already. think I'm talking too much. But then I just hope that we're gaining a few things and the rest of them, just a few things. So what are the questions you have to ask yourself at every point in time? Um, and one key thing I want to add for me, I always remember that even if I'm not doing this, there's a particular area I know I can go in and I can do well. And if I've decided to choose this part, then I should give my everything, like all my all, I should give it to this particular part. If I've left a particular part, I know that if I enter here, I know it will be much easier for me. But because I found myself here, I will burn the bridge and pursue it with everything in me. So that's the same thing I want you to see. Since you've decided of all things, saying I'll teach you what to do. So please give in your all to it. And it's when you give in your all to it that you start seeing the result, right? Just gradually and gradually. So why do I teach? Who am I becoming at the end of the day? So what impact do I want to leave? And what kind of educator do I admire? What do I want to do in these kids? And eventually, I promise you, the money will come, right? I promise you, the money will come. As you just keep navigating, it certainly and certainly will come. All right, so we have an assignment I'm going to push to the group chat. So you can just write it and keep for yourself. Like just write those questions and keep for yourself. It's something that will help just to remind you why you started and the rest of them. So going back to discovering your why, just think about it. What happened? How did this thing start? And the rest of them. So the assignment, let me look at it so I can read it out from here. All right. So yeah, I think it's about 4 questions or thereabouts. So let me quickly check and then read it out. I'll push the group. So the question is, why do you really want to teach? Right. So what kind of educator do you hope to become? Now, if nobody will remember subject you taught them, what would you want them to remember about you after so many years of teaching that particular child, after so many years of teaching a particular person? What do you want them to remember about you? When they think about you, what would you like them to remember? All right, then which Sismo core value speaks to you the most? Just write it and then keep it to yourself. Reflect on that. So that is the assignment for this particular time. Just reflect on it and keep it to yourself. It's something that you're going to make reference to as time goes on. Ask yourself critically, why do I teach? Why do I want to improve my skills? If it is money, write it there. Write the amount you want to make as well. Let it be something that you look at and then you keep building. All right. And like I said, the tools did not build my teaching career. It was a mindset that actually built the career. We started when nobody was giving us 5 naira. We started when the money was not there. We started eventually when even for like 2 weeks, the person will not send the money. We kept showing up, we kept doing what we have to do. And eventually, referrals came, things came, and we started investing the little we have into building what we are building today. So it wasn't the tools. Whatever thing you are seeing today, it was not there before now. I wanted to get some pictures before, but then I couldn't get the picture. So you can see what it looked like before now. All right. I wanted to actually take the picture so that you will laugh as well and see what it looked like before now, before we started getting the tools and the rest of them. There was a place we started from, but then it was consciously investing in some of those things, even when it might look like we are suffering on some areas, like buying some things people will buy, because we need to invest on something. Because eventually, when people see it, their perception about you will change. I don't know if you get my point. Can you give me a thumbs up? If you get what I just said now, can you give me a thumbs up? There are some things you do, and the perception will begin to change. There are not two ways about it. They know. Back, one of the parents told me something. Oh, guys, so I go still pay you again. Like the man said it. Oh, guys, so I go still pay you again. There's something he saw that made him say that particular thing. So it's about, you know what I'm talking about eventually. So now service will open the doors that technology alone will never open. All right. So please serve people as much as you can. I've seen that happen over and over again. The SNC boot camp and the rest of things we've seen over the years is one thing I know is that service opens the doors that technology alone will never open. And that's why I said, first of all, it's about the mindset. So with the right mindset, everything is arranged. And thank you so much for trusting this vision. You are the very first cohort of this thing we are doing. All right. And I think to stay on top of the game, the mindset must be sustained. All right. It is what you call a particular thing is what it becomes. One thing I want to leave with you, whatever thing you call something is what it becomes. The way you place yourself is the way people will view you. right? Even if no matter how brilliant or sharp you are in your subject matter, if you've not put some of those things in place, they will not really see the value of what you do. All right. So thank you so much for joining, and I hope you've gained one or two things from the lot of things I've said. I don't know if I've done justice to some of the things you had in mind while joining the session for today. All right. So next session on Sunday will now be on the skills. What are those things? Communication with parents and the rest of them. All right, including with students. How do you ensure that in the place of laughing, children can be very funny. How can you, in the place of laughing and playing with them, that they don't begin to joke and play? That how those things can be. So next will be along the skills that we need in terms of including how to navigate some platforms and some things regarding the skills. Then the upper week will be on the tools. What are the platforms that can help you prepare your slide faster, do quizzes with them, Kahoots, and the rest of them. A lot of tools online now that makes things quite easier. And what are other things that we can do to make the learning engaging? So that's it for today. If you have any question, please, you can go ahead and ask. I want to end at exactly 7:25 so that I can rest a little while before my next session. Any question, please? Any question? If you have question, you could just first of all, I hope I hope the session was good. I hope you are not disappointed. Uh, just to add, all right, because I have a lot of people I respect so much on the call, So, and I hope you aren't disappointed and you've gained one or two things, or you've been reminded of some things you know already. I believe you might have been reminded of some things you know already, just to let you know that yes, if you're already doing that, just keep at it. If you're already on that part, just keep at it. All things are possible to them that believe. Even the scripture highlighted that who among you wants to be great? He should do what? People of God in the house. I know God men. I think I have men of God in the house now. If anyone wants to be great among you, the person must first of all do what? It's service. So service is that particular part that makes everything easier. Since we don't have any question, no question, Abby. We are all good, Good to go. Be a servant, exactly. Right. Just be a servant. So for you to be top notch, you have to serve. Let them take you for granted for the time being. But then over time, yeah, they will not be able to afford you, I promise you. Any question? No question. So please, I will send in the absence of questions, I will send the, what do you call it? The playbook, sorry, the exercise stuff to the group. So just do well to write on it and keep it for yourself, basically. I don't want you to submit so I don't see what you wrote. So keep for yourself. Make you not be saying I'm you do and for. All right. So I will see us in the next session. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate every one of us that joined. We have like 40 members on the group chat. But then I think we had only 5 persons on the call. Was it up to 5 people on the call? But it's entirely fine because we know it was something that we are pushed to do, and that's why we had to start. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week, Sunday. Thank you so much. I think Esther is here, okay, and the rest, okay. Bro Mike is here as well. Okay, thank you so much. We're not the best, guys.